Hello, Dov. How are you?
Hi. One of the things that I have been involved in is to try to get more security for our community. And one of the things that, thank God, we've accomplished is getting security surveillance cameras throughout Borough Park, throughout Midwood. And this is a wonderful thing and has been responsible for solving a number of crimes already. Something else that has come to my attention that I think would add even more security. And by the way, there's never enough security. We should be safe, but better to be safe than sorry. And brought to my attention is this fabulous idea of people installing what's called dash cameras, which go into your car, for instance, and it records everything that is going on. For instance, people very often complain that they got a violation for not wearing a seatbelt, and they were wearing a seatbelt. This camera in your car will record whether in fact you're wearing a seatbelt. It will serve so many other purposes in terms of protecting our community. Seatbelt. You're wearing a seatbelt. A police officer stops you, says you're not wearing a seatbelt. You have no proof. It's your word against the word of the police officer. This camera records everything that is going on and will be the proof that you need to defend yourself. And in addition to that, this camera could be functioning in your car all the time. When you leave your car, God forbid something happens in the area where your car is, or God forbid someone breaks into your car, this camera will record everything, creating greater security for the individual who owns the vehicle and also for the people in the community. We did cameras throughout Borough Park and Midwood. These dash cameras, for instance, if 500 people were to get these dash cameras, you would be increasing the amount of security in our community literally 3, 4, 5 times as much, because these will be functioning in your car all the time. You leave your car, the camera is on, it records everything going on in the car and outside of the car. It's something that I intend to talk about a lot in the future. I think this is something that is very realistic, very real. I intend, and will do something public, to actually have one in my own car. You can't lose anything. That's the bottom line. It increases your security. It increases the security of the community, and that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. By the way, this is actually an example of a dash camera in your car. This is a car that is actually taking an ongoing picture of everything in front of the car. And also, because the dash camera has a lens in different locations, it actually records what's going on in the car itself. Again, I repeat, wearing a seatbelt, right? So many people have come to me saying, I was wearing a seatbelt, and there's nothing I can do because the police officer says you weren't. You say you were wearing a seatbelt, and you can't win because the police officer will always be believed. So this is just a wonderful, wonderful idea that we'll be talking a lot more about.
Okay, so this camera has an outside camera right here, which will record the outside. It has an inside camera with infrared, so if it was dark outside, there's no light inside the car, so it will record it, as well as a mic. The mic right there will record the voice.
The actual conversation.
The conversation.
You know, it's one of the things that happens sometimes. We love our police officers, right? We're big supporters of the police department. But you know what? Every now and then there's an incident. And people will say to me, you know, that police officer said the following to me. That police officer raised his voice or her voice. That police officer acted in a way that was not the right way to act. And what can you do? It's your word against the word of the police officer. Now imagine if you have a tape recorder in your car recording the conversation between the police officer and you. How powerful that is and how useful that is for the individual.
Right, yeah. And, right over here, you can't really see it right now. But if you were to be driving, there's no internet connection, so you won't see it. But it will actually give you exactly where the vehicle went, how fast it went. You have a speed right there.
God, that's
so which means that if you give to your child, you give your son a car, you see his speed, you see where he went, how fast he went, and everything on there.
That's great. That's amazing.
Yes.
It means someone giving their car to their 18-year-old can afterwards actually check.
They can actually check.
I don't know how good that is.
It's simply.
I don't want to lose the 18-year-old vote or the 19-year-old vote. No, I'm kidding. But I understand what you're saying. It's very, very useful.
If anything chas v'shalom happens, you take the SD card out, go to the computer, pop it inside. You have all the information
And
right there.
that's the little card.
Micro SD card, just like that.
Amazing.
That's the reason I brought him along, because he installs it in less than 20 minutes.
Yes.
And very reasonable. You know, everybody
By the way,
knows booking.
I'm just curious. What do these run for?
So we sell them for $300. If they mention Dov's name, they mention your name, we'll do it for $280. So
and what about the maintenance of this? Some people, they buy something and then they have all kinds.
the only
Is it
maintenance
simple?
the only maintenance they're going to need is when the vehicle goes back, the lease or they own the vehicle, they come by to me, we take it out, new car comes, put it in.
Wow.
It takes 20 minutes to install, it takes 5 minutes to take out, and then 20 minutes in a new vehicle.
No. So I'm actually going to get one, and we'll do it. We'll do it in my car. You'll photograph that, because I don't see what there is to lose.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, they did
because when you get a violation, one of those tickets for not wearing a seatbelt or something like that, those are pretty expensive and are very harmful to people in terms of their voting record. This will solve so much of the problem for so many people.
Interestingly enough, last week, this was in my car, in the window. They sprayed graffiti on the street corner on the pole. And we got it on the camera. We got 2 guys arrested from this dash camera.
What kind of graffiti?
Graffiti on a light bulb, spraying graffiti, vandalism.
Wow.
And we got them on the dash camera. There were store cameras, they didn't work, but the dash camera worked.
Wow.
Because it was unsteady and it was always on.
Amazing. Well, you're going to hear a lot more about this, because I think this is sort of the future, right? I mean,
Yeah.
This is something that the more people that have it, their own security and the security of the neighborhood.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to get this product, they can come down to my shop. It's Fleet Safety. It's 1317 36th Street. You guys can always call at 718-289-0733.
Fascinating. Thank you
No,
very
thank
much.
you very much.
Appreciate it. Of course.